naturalism may be regarded as a revolt against the stereotyped system of education. They were of the opinion that society was artificial and that all artificiality should be broken down. Education should be given according to the natural interests, tendencies of the child so that his personality is developed fully. Naturalism believes that ultimate strength is human being lies in power of positive thinking. If everyone would only think positive about life, the world would become a heaven on earth. Naturalism is concerned with natural self or real self. Chief exponents of naturalism were Bacon, J. Comenius, Herbert Spencer, Huxley and Rousseau. Back to nature is the watchword of naturalism. Naturalism believes that reality and nature are identical and that beyond nature there is no reality. Definitions regarding naturalism. According to Ward, naturalism is the doctrine which separates nature from God, subordinates spirit of matter and set up unchangeable as supreme. In the words of Ross, naturalism is a term loosely applied in educational theory to systems of training that are not dependent on schools or books, but on the manipulation of the actual life of the educated. The prominent naturalist Rousseau in his book Emile and Education declares nature as the best teacher and natural development as the best type of development. Naturalism is the oldest philosophy in the Western world. Its fundamental principles which explain its nature, scope and implications are, according to naturalism, material world is the real world, mind is subordinate to matter, nature alone is the source of all knowledge, values are created in terms of specific needs, all real values exist in nature, in living close to nature. There is no possibility of any supernatural being. The individual is always given precedence. Man creates societies only to meet of his needs. Nothing is beyond nature, behind nature or other than nature. Principles of education according to naturalism. Naturalism lays stress on physical environment. Naturalism emphasizes the present life of the child as the basis of education. It advocates education in accordance with the nature of the child. Naturalism gives prominent place to the concept of freedom in the education of the child. It gives no place to books or bookish knowledge. It regards education as the dynamic side of philosophy. In the naturalistic system of education, there is no place for classrooms, textbooks, timetable and formal examinations. The chalk and talk method has no scope here. There is no discipline of natural consequences. Naturalism and aims of education. The main aims of education as advocated by naturalism are self-expression. Idealism gives importance to self-realization, whereas the main aim of education according to naturalism is self-expression and self-preservation. Perfection of human machine. In the words of Ross, education should make the human machine as good a machine as possible by attending to its constitution, by elaborating it and making it capable of more and more complicated tasks. Struggle for existence. The evaluationists consider education to equip the individual for struggle of his existence and thus to ensure his survival. Education for adjustment. Education also aims at helping the individual to secure his adjustment, physical as well as mental. Education is regarded as the process of adjustment to environment. Improvement of racial gains. Bernard Shaw remarks that planning along with the transmission of physical traits, racial experience should also be transmitted. Education fulfills this responsibility. Education according to the nature of the child. It has been rightly said that education finds its purpose, its process and its means within the child life and child experience. Nature of the child should be first understood for this purpose. Naturalism and curriculum. Naturalism brings faith in sciences, that is chemistry, zoology, physics, etc. It is through sciences that mysteries of nature are revealed. It gives them true knowledge. Science Spencer reveals that curriculum centered on science would provide liberal education. In naturalistic curriculum, the main emphasis continues to be learning of sciences. Mathematics and language are taught as much as they are helpful and necessary to understand sciences. History continue to occupy an important place in the curriculum as according to them, helpful experiences of the past need to be transmitted to the children in order to enrich their present and give direction to their future growth. They do not place any importance upon spiritualism and as such on God and religion. They want to develop the logic, that is reasoning power, so that mankind should become happy and make greater achievements. There is no place for religious and moral education. Such education is matter of experiences rather than of instruction. Punishment is given by nature in its own way. Naturalism and methods of teaching. Naturalism lays stress on learning by doing, learning through experience, learning through observation, learning through heuristic method. The emphasis has been on dynamic techniques rather than stereotype techniques which are rigid, uniform and traditional. Innovations like correspondence education, open universities, distance education, etc. have their roots in naturalistic thought process. In the field of methodology, naturalism has made very significant contribution. It discards all rigid, uniform and traditional techniques of teaching. Teaching in classroom does not find favor with the naturalists. Here, the emphasis is on the individual method. Rousseau says, give your scholar no verbal lesson, he should be taught by experience alone. Naturalism lays stress on learning by doing. It is based on the principles of child activity and participation. Learning through experience. Naturalism believes in self-education. Child learns through his personal experiences with things and nature. So, he should be encouraged to discover things for himself. Learning through observation. Science should be taught through observation and experimentation. Heuristic method. Naturalism advocated heuristic method for teaching science and mathematics because that way the child is placed in the situation of self-discoverer. Other methods of teaching recommended by naturalism are Play-way method, Dalton plan, direct method, direct study of natural phenomena and experimentation. Naturalism and discipline. Naturalists give utmost freedom to the child to do and learn whatever he likes. They do not advocate any sort of punishment for the child except that he is allowed to suffer the natural consequences of his actions. External discipline is not desirable as it stands in the way of child's natural development. Spencer, an extreme naturalist, says that discipline should be by natural consequences of one's actions only. Both Spencer and Rousseau assert that whatever a child goes wrong, natural reaction is proper punishment for him. Pain that results from indulging in undesirable activities is regarded as sufficient corrective to child's behavior. To some extent, this theory of natural consequences of free discipline may be applicable, but not always. This is the reason that it has been very severely criticized. Nature does not distribute her penalties in a just and a fair way. There is always a possibility that the child will, in almost all cases, suffer more than he actually deserves. For regulating the conduct of students, naturalists have also evolved the concept of student self-government, which is quite in tune with the demand of a democratic society. Neil's Summerhill School is practically run on student self-government lines. Naturalism and teacher. According to the naturalists, the teacher's place is behind the scene. He is a spectator or an observer of the child's development rather than a giver of information, ideals and ideas or the activities of his pupils. He is not to dictate to them what they have to do. Restriction imposed upon children by teacher stand in the way of their natural development. Therefore, the teacher must not try to teach his pupils what do not want to learn. The children know better what, when and how they should learn. The teacher's duty is simply to see that there is free development of the pupil's interests and natural impulses. According to naturalistic concept, a teacher is only a setter of the stage, supplier of the materials and opportunities, a provider of an ideal environment and creator of conditions conducive to the natural development of pupils. This is exactly the role of the teacher that has been advocated in almost all the modern schemes of education, although we know that under no system of education we can dispense with his services. Weaknesses of naturalism in education. Naturalism in its extreme form neglects books and other media. It is very difficult to assume that we can neglect the vast quantities of printed material. Physical nature alone is not sufficient for providing education. Absolute freedom to child is a myth. It cannot exist. Child cannot be allowed the freedom to hang himself. Naturalism ignores the higher ends in the education process. It is very difficult to find naturalistic surroundings for locating educational institutions. Naturalism assigns very little importance to the teacher in the educative process.